Alright, so back here on the 1978 Toyota pickup. Got it back on the frame, so yesterday I was cleaning up the bottom and finish welded all the brackets that I had to make underneath, so got that all done. See the weld marks around everything, so those look good. I did find another little hole that I had to patch, so I did that as well. And then got it down. This passenger side, you see the body line here is not quite right, so that cab needs to go up a little bit, but I don't have any spacers or anything on it right now. I actually have a little piece, like 3/4 inch piece of wood as a spacer right now, so I need to order some Delrin or rubber or something and make the body mount bushings that I need for the corners. And so I'm not worried about that at all, so I'll be able to cut this to the correct thickness to get that looking right, and then use washers and other stuff in order to get that lined up and looking good. So that's fine there. This one's pretty far off, but same thing. I'll just cut the body bushings in order to take up the difference there. When I have to make the floor and the bracket and all that other stuff, I'm not going to make it exactly the same as factory, and so those ones, both of the front ones are off by a little bit, and so I'll need to have a little bit thicker body bushings there. I did throw a level on the frame and then a level on the rocker, and it's pretty close, so I think that's looking okay. Like I said, just making sure the body lines are lined up on that between the bed and the back of the cab there is all that really matters. And it's close already. And then the driver's side actually looks like it's totally fine. So that 3/4 piece of plywood that I have, it's super close. So like that looks pretty good. And so doing all right there. When I mounted the cab on, it was a pretty tight fit to the back, and the back of the bed is bowed out a little bit, so it has like a curve on the back of the bed. And so I haven't done anything with the bed yet as far as trying to address the rust and everything. I wanted to keep the bed completely locked down from where it was originally, so I haven't touched the body mounts or anything on the back of the bed. And so my goal there is to get the cab mounted to where it looks perfect with the bed, and then I'll take the bed off and do all the work, and then I'll mount it back to where it looks perfect with the cab, and hopefully that'll keep everything looking normal. The front looks real good with that same 3/4 piece of wood there. And so I just got a little piece of wood there. The hole looks like it's lining up real good with the middle, but same thing, I just need to make the body bushing that goes right there. A lot of the reason for me to do this is when the suspension system gets delivered, which is, I got weeks before that happens, but I just want to be prepared. When I do the suspension system, one of the things in the video was to get the cab on, the fenders mounted, to make sure that the wheel is centered in the fender opening. And so instead of doing all that suspension work and then finding out the hard way that the wheel doesn't sit properly in the wheel well, I'm gonna try to see if I can get the cab and everything squared away with the fenders on it, and so that way when I do the suspension work, I can make sure and just double check to make sure that everything's lining up good. And then whenever the motor gets in here, I'm going to need to make sure again that the cab gets modified properly for the motor. And so that was, one of the main reasons for doing it. And then while I was doing that, I got it back on the ground and I noticed some bubbly bits, and damn it, it seems like I can't catch a break. So as soon as I thought I was just about done with all the rust repair on the cab, I found that little hole in the back, and I got crap here. And so this is the worst of it. It doesn't look like the underlying metal is damaged, but I'm going to have to cut this lip out, which sucks. So I'll have to cut a compound piece that has a bend here, and pretty big. Fortunately, it looks like by the time it gets into this weird ass bend, that the metal's good. So I'm bad to like here, and it looks like I'll probably be able to keep that hole, that weep hole here. I'll be able to keep that, but I'm like right on the edge of it, which sucks. And so I got this whole section here with this, well, looks mostly flat, so I got to replace that. And then looking along the top edge, I got a few more pieces that are yucky, but I don't think I care. So here, not so good. Same thing there. This is by a spot weld, so I'll probably dig into that one a little bit more to make sure that the spot weld's not compromised. This one's by nothing. There's a spot weld here and here, and this is just a little bit ugly, but it's not structural, so it doesn't matter. This is starting to get iffy up in this area, so this is pretty well pitted and pretty bad up in here. Pretty pitted, and there's just a couple of little pinholes around here. So this upper lip area, I'm fairly certain that if I tried to weld onto this, that'll just blow right through. I bet the metal is super thin right here. So unfortunately, this one I'm going to have to cut and get that compound curve wrap thing. So this one's going to be pretty yucky. Keep moving over. So, this spot weld looks not great, so I'll probably have to do something here. That spot weld's gone, so I'll definitely have to do something on that. And then this section sucks pretty bad, so I got all the way eaten through here and here. So depending, the hood has this gentle curve, the roof has this gentle curve across the whole thing. So even though it would be nice to cut a section about yay big and replace both of these at the same time, I think if I do that, my piece of metal is going to be flat and it's not going to follow that curve real well. So I'll probably have to do two patches, like one here and then one here. And again, unfortunately, it's getting into this top edge, and that metal up there is going to be super thin. This is pretty crappy down here as well. So now those ones are going to suck. Getting into this, that there's a spot weld on either side of it. So this again is not awesome, but knock all the rust off, epoxy coated, it should be fine. This is probably okay. That's fine. This is not pretty, but again, I don't think I'll need to repair that. And then this other corner was no good. I already cut the piece of metal out of this one. I'm not going to do this top lip here, so this is just a little bit pitted, and I'm not too worried about that. It's 2 layers thick, so it gets bent over. There's another layer of metal back behind it, and then it's not pinholed, it's just pitted, so I'm not going to worry about that one. You can see the spot weld on the other side is fine. I got another spot weld, and that one's fine. And then the underlying metal under here, it was primed, and so this was not, there was no pitting, there was nothing, so this underlying metal was totally fine, so that's good. So I got my little piece here, so set this up. So as you see me done lots of times, just got a little piece of paper here to get that to fit right in place. Fortunately, this one's real small. I will need to try to get that radius there close because this car does not have trim around the outside edge. There's the rubber seal that seals the window, but I'm pretty sure, and I can't remember from taking it apart, I'm pretty sure this radius is revealed, but maybe it isn't. I don't know. But either way, I do want to get that pretty close. I don't want that to be like a harsh angle, like a really, really sharp angle. This has sort of a radius on it. So in order to do that, it'll be putting it in the bender and leaving the bender plate kind of loose. And when you do that, it allows it to get a bit more of a radius. I might even try to do it in a couple of bends in order to get that to fit in there nice. So here's my piece of paper. You see there with leaving the brake loose, this is a much softer radius. Alright, so that is pretty good in there. You see how fiddly that is for those little pieces with the curves. And so, you know, when you cut these out, oftentimes these corners are going to be rounded from whatever you're cutting or grinding. You're not going to have a perfect 90. And so what you see me do with this one is you just knock down those corners so they'll fit in there a little bit nicer. But yeah, that's looking real good. So that is fitting everywhere real nice. Might need to take just a touch more off on this side. But yeah, like once that gets in there real good, I'll just burn it in. So you see that took, I don't know, 10-15 minutes or whatever just to make this little piece, and I got 8 more to do. So get after it. All right, thanks. See you in the next one.